I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country as a Navy SEAL. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. And I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed. Paralyzed Veterans of America was by my side from that moment on.
Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America has kept a promise to our wounded veterans. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the benefits they've earned, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them.
To learn more, go to pva.org today.
Anticipate potential delays for the morning commute. In other news, a recent government report on prescription drug pricing points to corporate
Freedom of the press is about your right to know.
What are you talking about, man? Look at his stats.
It's about your right to be informed. Your right to access all types of information keeps us free as a nation.
No.
Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas by...
And your right to know about the world around us.
Look.
Some threats are obvious, some are easy to miss, but they all put our way of life at risk. We must defend against all of these threats, no matter what kind of news is important to you.
Justified putting American troops in harm's way?
That's a great question.
We must protect our right to know before it's too late. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it?
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got? Or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, babe.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher.
Be my teacher.
Be my teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess?
We need more teachers.
We need more great teachers.
Teachers like you.
What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Anticipate potential delays for the morning commute. In other news, a recent government report on prescription drug pricing points to corporate
Freedom of the press is about your right to know.
What are you talking about, man? Look at his stats.
It's about your right to be informed. Your right to access all types of information keeps us free as a nation.
No.
Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas by...
And your right to know about the world around us.
Look.
Some threats are obvious, some are easy to miss, but they all put our way of life at risk. We must defend against all of these threats, no matter what kind of news is important to you.
Justified putting American troops in harm's way?
That's a great question.
We must protect our right to know before it's too late. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
Anticipate potential delays for the morning commute. In other news, a recent government report on prescription drug pricing points
Change your circle.
Freedom of the press is about your right to know.
What are you talking about, man? Look at his stats.
It's about your right to be informed. Your right to access all types of information keeps us free as a nation.
No.
Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas by...
And your right to know about the world around us.
Look.
Some threats are obvious, some are easy to miss, but they all put our way of life at risk. We must defend against all of these threats, no matter what kind of news is important to you.
Justified putting American troops in harm's way?
That's a great question.
We must protect our right to know before it's too late. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
Good evening. Welcome to another great episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, where therapy ain't no joke. I am Sean Garvey, the architect. Make sure you follow me at The Mental Space Live, as you can see at the bottom of your screen there on all social media platforms. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. What a day, what a day, what a day. Let me ask you this. Are you as stressed out as I am? I'm asking for a reason. It's been one of those days. One of those days where you're hoping that things go the way you plan, but sometimes in the universe, it doesn't. And it also involves people. Do you feel like that at times? Of course, we're all human beings. We're going to have our good days and our bad days. But when they say Hump Wednesday, that is something to not take lightly. So happy Hump Day, happy Hump Wednesday to you and yours. This calls for a breathing exercise. So let's do a breathing exercise together like I normally do on most of my shows. But let's do a quick one, okay? Not just only for me, but for you watching at home or at your office. Let's do a quick one. Let's breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. There we go. There we go. I needed that. How did that feel for you? Okay. I have to remind people that when you're going through those days and you have some sort of anxiety or something that you just feel very overwhelmed from, you just gotta stand right there. Don't move. Just stand right there. Just sit right down and just do a breather. Okay? So let's do it all together, especially for those who are just tuning in to Therapy Ain't No Joke. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. All right. There we go. I needed to do that. All right. And we're live on air. All right. Therapy Ain't No Joke. Sean Garvey hanging out with you between now and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the show in which we talk to everyday people, whether it's community leaders, whether it's voices of influence, or just, regular people, everyday people working on the grind, as they are invited onto the show to talk about their mental health journey and to talk about all things considered mental health in our community. All right, we're going to give you some information throughout the show, and we do have a special guest that will be joining with us on the air. All right, I want to remind people that we are broadcasting live on so many different platforms, including Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Yes, that's right, folks. We are on Amazon Fire TV. Apple TV, Android TV, wherever you get your streaming from, as well as on YouTube. You can put it in the comment section if you are watching us on YouTube, and let us know what you think about Therapy Ain't No Joke thus far, all right? So we're going to bring on our special guest in just a little bit, but in the meantime, between time, if you are a first-time viewer to Therapy Ain't No Joke, we're going to play a snippet or two. Matter of fact, we're just going to play a few minutes of the first episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, which I had the opportunity to interview comedian Darnell Morris as he talked about how comedy has helped him throughout his mental health journey and so much more. And we will bring in our special guest in just a little bit. All right, so sit back, relax. This is Therapy Ain't No Joke with Sean Garvey. I will return, but here is the first episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. I'll be right back.
Change your circle. Change the people around you and bring those in that are going to allow you to be you and put you in that safe space for you to be vulnerable. That's all you have to do, y'all. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It's just all a part of the growing process. Evolution. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am Sean Garvey, and this is Therapy Ain't No Joke by Sean Garvey. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL. That's Instagram, Sean Garvey ATL. We're going to take a quick break from the TV, and we're going to talk to comedian Darnell Morris. He got a couple of events coming up in the beautiful state, New York. If you plan to go up there to New York and visit, you want to check out a comedy show or two, Darnell Morris is going to talk about it live in just a few moments. He's also going to talk about his own mental health journey, because just like me, the brother's been going through some things. All right, so we're going to talk to him in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget to send your love donation to Cash App, $Reach1 Communications to support the content and many other shows under Honey. That is my ROKU channel right there on the top of the screen there, Honey. So support the content, support the machine, and we will continue to send the love back. All right. So we're going to take a break from the radio. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, this show is dedicated to the ones that we have lost over the past few days, as well as the many victims and families affected by last Wednesday's massive school shooting in Winder, Georgia. All right. As well as the anniversary of 9/11, in which my good friend and brother Darnell Morris, who is in the green room, he's going to talk about how 9/11 affected him and more. So stay tuned. We will be right back. This is Therapy Ain't No Joke by Sean Garvey. Plus, we're going to switch things over to Brandy Gregory, which is a 3-day weather outlook for the city of Atlanta. All right. We'll be right back. Therapy Ain't No Joke right here on Honey and on the Flow Television Network. Brandy Gregory in the Weather Center with the 3-day weekend weather forecast. How's it going to look this weekend, Brandy?
Hello, my name is Brandy Gregory, and I am here to deliver that 3-day weekend weather update for the city of Atlanta. But before I jump into that, I would love to note that today's segment is sponsored by the Growing and Flowing podcast, actually hosted by yours truly. On my podcast, I love to connect my present day experiences to my childhood to get a better idea of who I am, who I've been, and who I am becoming. So if you are interested, go ahead and give me a listen on any platform that you get your podcast on. And if you would love to support any of my future endeavors, go ahead and shoot me something over to my official Cash App. That would be $growing, the letter N, flowing pod. Now for that weather update. For Friday, we have a high of 77, a low of 66 with all cloudy skies. For Saturday, we have a high of 83, a low of 64 with all cloudy skies. And then lastly, for Sunday, we have a high of 82, a low of 64 with partially sunny skies. Again, my name is Brandy Gregory, and I'm with Podcast FM 87, home of the Beat Break Morning Show with Sean Garvey and DJ Roland.
Anticipate potential delays for the morning commute. In other news, a recent government report on prescription drug pricing points to corporate
Freedom of the press is about your right to know.
What are you talking about, man? Look at this stats.
It's about your right to be informed. Your right to access all types of information keeps us free as a nation.
No.
Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas by...
And your right to know about the world around us.
Look.
Some threats are obvious, some are easy to miss, but they all put our way of life at risk. We must defend against all of these threats, no matter what kind of news is important to you.
Justified putting American troops in harm's way.
That's a great question.
We must protect our right to know before it's too late. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country as a Navy SEAL. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. And I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed. Paralyzed Veterans of America was by my side from that moment on.
Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America has kept a promise to our wounded veterans. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the benefits they've earned, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them.
To learn more, go to pva.org today.
Welcome back to Therapy Ain't No Joke, right here on the Honey Channel on Roku TV, as well as on the Flow Television Network, Apple TV, Fire TV, and Android TV, wherever you get your streaming from. I am the architect, Sean Garvey. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is where you can check out Therapy Ain't No Joke. We're also streaming live on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Mental Space Show. Yes, we're still calling it The Mental Space, but right now, this is Therapy Ain't No Joke, all right? This is where we have in-depth mental health conversations and talk about so many things surrounding mental health, as well as holding you and others accountable for your mental health. Joining with us on the second edition, the second half of Therapy Ain't No Joke, ladies and gentlemen, he is doing big things in the comedy circuit. If you are in the NYC or in New York or in Hollis or just in the state of New York and you want to get a good laugh, he got some shows lined up throughout the month of September, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to give you some info and all that great stuff in just a few moments. But without further ado, let's bring him on to Therapy Ain't No Joke, the one and only Darnell Morris, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? What's cracking, fam?
What's going on, brother?
Oh,
I'm out
okay.
here being a hippie.
Oh, okay. So we got to talk about this.
Yes, sir.
We gotta wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
I almost want to drop the beats.
What,
I almost want to drop the beat by what I'm seeing right now.
What's happening?
That's the question I want to know. What is happening with your Rick James wig? Why you got on your Rick James wig on?
First of all, brother, this is all natural. This is I've been taking them hormone pills, and I'm good to go, baby. They said promised me 24 inches in 2 months. I thought it was Viagra. It wasn't. It was hair. But okay, I'll take it.
We got to get this out the way. We had to get this out the way before we go into anything, because therapy ain't no joke. But this one isn't. I'm thinking this is the real thing. This is the real deal.
Brother, what you think I'm wearing? A hat here?
I don't know.
This is premium Indonesian baby hair.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take your word for it.
You see that flow? You see that? Ew.
I whip my hair
Mr.
back and forth.
Mr. Garvey, how are you, sir?
Man, I am maintaining. I'm living my best life. Man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic or phantismal, because sometimes it's abysmal, but sometimes it's fantastic. So I make a mix of the two of them. But the shows are going great. The career is popping. We're on the right path. And I'm here with my brother. What could go wrong?
That's what I wanted to answer when you came on and you had on this hair thing and stuff like that.
Haters gonna hate, baby.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave your hair alone.
I don't know what's wrong with you, Sean. Hating that. Get your hating ass off the radio.
Wait, okay. I said to our viewers and I said to our listeners that this is a safe space to people that are, like you, basically.
What? I don't know what the like you is.
But being themselves, this is a safe space where you are in a place where you're living your best life. You're doing everything. We're going to get into your own mental health journey and just even a great work that you've been doing in the comedy circuit. We'll get into that in just a few moments. But I want to acknowledge, though, Darnell Morris, because you've been on plenty of my platforms before. You might see me crying because the hair thing is. You might see me crying on and off here, shedding tears. But
yes, sir.
I got to.
This is post-divorce, by the way. This is post-divorce.
That's one of the things I want to talk to you about later on in the conversation, Darnell. But I got to throw in a fun fact. So Darnell Morris has been on a couple of my shows, including the Beat Break Morning show that I do with DJ Rolla. And he was in the studio with Barjona Andrews. I think it's Barjona Williams now. But Barjona, just a fun fact, when we were at the Waywork Studios in the ATL a few years ago, and Barjona, I got to give a shout out to her because Barjona is the daughter to Chicken Man from the limited series Fight Night.
Okay.
By Will Packer, that's currently on Peacock. So I got to give a shout out to Barjona. And Darnell,
I remember that sweat box. The AC wasn't working that day.
No. So that was Wonder Root.
Oh, excuse me. We've been through too much together.
That's why you have on that hair. That's why we've been through so much. That's why you have on the hair.
I got to be incognito.
Yeah. Okay. So let me set the stage up for our viewers and for our listeners, because many people, Darnell, don't know our history together, right? And we can talk about this because we both are no longer on that station anymore. Like I said, this is a safe space, so feel free to express however you want to express. But when me and Darnell first worked with each other, we did not get along at all. I don't know if Darnell.
This is news to me.
This is news to you. Well, I felt like we didn't get along at all. Because it felt like I was Johnny Gill to New Edition, and you was Bobby Brown. Like, who is this Negro? Who is this guy that is coming to the radio station and trying to take my job?
Well, it wasn't so much who is this guy trying to take my job, but I was definitely sure it was like, who the hell is this Negro? Understand, this is my house, baby. And so you're gonna play by the rules, and we're gonna learn, and we're gonna work together. But it blossomed into something amazing.
It did, you know. And yeah, go ahead, Darnell.
You know what it was for me, Sean? I just took a lot of pride in the station and the years and the work that I had put in there. So I wasn't about to let anybody come in there and just, F around.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were the serious professional that you actually were. And then we became cool, though.
Eastern Standard Time. That was a little bit of my interview with the one and only comedian Darnell Morris, who is doing some great things. If you are in the NYC area, New York to be exact, and you want to check out some comedy, follow him on all social media, comedian Darnell Morris, for ticket information and event information. If you want to see him live in action, only if you are in the New York area. He travels, go to different venues across the country. But if you are in the New York area during the month of October, then that's where he will be throughout the entire month, performing live at a local venue near you. All right. So, of course, Therapy Ain't No Joke is a live show. We are having some technical difficulties bringing on our special guest for the evening because I do want to dive in on a serious topic on tonight's show. We've been promoting it on social media. Tonight's topic is teen depression. We were supposed to have a special guest come on. We're having some technical difficulties bringing him on. But in the meantime, between time, we're going to take a break and we're going to play a recent episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke until we can get him on the air with us. You're definitely going to love this episode if you haven't had a chance to check it out. We do have an archive of our past 4 episodes of Therapy Ain't No Joke on YouTube at Beat Break Radio. While you are there at Beat Break Radio or the Mental Space Live, become a subscriber on there, all right? But the place I want to take you first is actually the Mental Space Show. The Mental Space Live is our social media information, but the Mental Space Show is our YouTube channel. So like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Mental Space Show. You can check out the 4 episodes that we have in our archive section on YouTube, as well as on our Beat Break Radio channel on YouTube at Beat Break Radio. But we're trying to build up our followers on the Mental Space Show on, I'm about to say Facebook, YouTube. So go there, YouTube at the Mental Space Show. All right. So we will be right back. We're going to try to figure out what's going on. It is a live show. And with it being a live show, anything can happen. But we do have some content to give to you in just a few moments, okay? Stay tuned, keep it live. It is Therapy Ain't No Joke with Sean Garvey. We will be right back after these messages.
And I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country as a Navy SEAL. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. And I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed. Paralyzed Veterans of America was by my side from that moment on.
Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America has kept a promise to our wounded veterans. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the benefits they've earned, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them.
To learn more, go to pva.org today.
Welcome to Therapy Ain't No Joke. Welcome to another session with the architect, Sean Garvey. We are broadcasting live all over the internet. You can check us out on Honey. That's right, Honey. Make sure you download the app if you haven't already, which I'm assuming you already have since you are watching yours truly, the architect, on Roku. So make sure you download the Honey app or tell somebody to download the Honey app so they can check out Therapy Ain't No Joke. We are also simulcasting on the Flow Television Network. Hey, Stephanie and the entire team behind the Flow Television Network. We are also on Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV, as well as on YouTube and on Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL, and everywhere where you can get your streaming and podcast from. If you missed last week's episode, the very first episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke with my special guest, comedian Darnell Morris, you can check it out on demand on Honey via Roku TV. You gotta make sure you download the app first, okay? And you can also go to reachpointcommunications.com to get the app and to check it out, not just only on your laptop computer, but also on your phone. Take us with you on the go. But you can check us out on Spotify and on iHeartRadio to check out my exclusive and wonderful interview with comedian Darnell Morris. If you are new to the program, this is the show in which we talk about all things considered mental health in our community, and also talk about our mental health journey and how we not only hold others accountable, but hold ourselves accountable to maintain and manage our own mental well-being. Got a great show for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But before we get into some things, I have to ask you, please, ladies and gentlemen, to support the program, support the broadcast. We have a Cash App. We will be on Patreon very, very soon, but make sure you support us. But before you go to Cash App, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Of course, that's Beat Break Radio, but we also have a YouTube channel for the mental space. The mental space, we're going to have that up in just a few moments. See, this is what happens when you host a show and you producing at the same time, especially when it comes to a live broadcast like this. There we go. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Mental Space Show on YouTube, okay? Because we are also simulcasting on YouTube as well. We're going to make sure we have the Cash App information up in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you all so much. There we go. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the second episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. You know, I had to rush to get into the studio tonight to sit down and talk to you guys because I have a wonderful, wonderful guest that's going to be a part of this important conversation that we are having this evening. And tonight's topic is on unhealed dating. What does that mean? And why do people go into the dating scene unhealed? Sound like something you can relate to. Right, sir? Right, ma'am? Okay, we're going to get into that in just a few moments, but I had to rush to get here by taking a lift to the studio. And it's funny how things work in your favor, because I was talking to the Lyft driver on the way over here, and we brought up domestic violence in the conversation. Of course, that's not what we're going to talk about tonight. That's going to be for another episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. But we brought up domestic violence, right? And it's centered around a singer. I'm not going to say the name of the entertainer, but it's centered around a singer, and she was offering her perspective on domestic violence, what she witnessed, and what she has succumbed to being a domestic violence survivor. And I gave my thoughts, my 2 cents on the conversation, and I encourage her to check out tonight's show because it's a lot of unhealed people out there. Before and after the COVID-19 pandemic. And believe it or not, there are still people who are walking on God's green earth unhealed without going to any type of therapy session. Some of them think they don't have a problem, but they have not really sat down and talked to anybody about that. And that's why the show is called Therapy Ain't No Joke, because it's not. You know, there are going to be times where we will have uncomfortable conversations, including this one tonight on unhealed dating. So I encourage her to check out the show. I think she's going to be checking out the show via Instagram at Sean Garvey ATL. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Let's switch up the beat just a little bit. This beat right here that you are listening in the background is courtesy of Ray Melody. Shouts to Ray Melody, doing big things. But let's go ahead and bring our guest on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy to bring her back on not on this show, but she's been on another show of mine in the past. She is a therapist. No cap. She is not a fake therapist, because there are some fake therapists that are out there, but she is a licensed therapist and a mindfulness and self-care coach, founder and director of S.L. Hayes Group LLC. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Shanta L. Haynes, LCSW. Welcome to Therapy Ain't No Joke.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Loving the new platform. So I'm excited to sit down and chat with you all this evening.
We independent now. We are fully independent.
That is awesome.
Awesome. Let's do this because I forgot to do this, Shanta.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning of every show, especially when it comes to mental health, I like to do a breathing exercise.
Oh my God, I love that.
So we got to do that, especially under this music beat. Okay.
Yes.
So let's do a breathing exercise. I encourage everybody to do it, whether they are having a hard time dealing with something, or they may be stressed out from work, or whatever the case may be. It always helps to get that breathing exercise in. Okay. So let's do a quick breathing exercise. Everybody, breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out. Just by doing that, Shanta, I feel a whole lot better. But even more better now that you're on.
Okay, so I love that you did that, right? Because in my practice, mindfulness is, of course, what I do, but mindful practices such as deep breathing are tools that I help people to build so they can utilize when they're having those moments, maybe when they're tense, maybe when they feel like running, maybe when they can't get the words out just yet. So using your breath as a tool, reminding them that the breath is a tool that we always have with us is so important. And I thank you for starting to show off like that.
Absolutely. We all need it. I don't think we take enough time because there's 24 hours in a day and we don't take enough time to really just put certain things to the side and just get into our safe space or get into a particular space and just breathe. Just relax, calm, and breathe. Right?
Absolutely.
So got to do more of that. Heavy topic we're going to touch on tonight.
Very real topic. It's something that affects a lot of people, and sometimes they don't even recognize that they are unhealed in dating. So it is definitely something worth talking about. And, I left Atlanta, but, in some of those bigger areas where dating is a challenge for certain populations.
Right.
Definitely a conversation to be had.
Absolutely. So I'm going to do this because this is a very heavy topic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pull up a picture of an exchange between a man and a woman.
Okay.
And they were on Hinge, which is one of the popular dating apps that are out there, along with Tinder and Bumble.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to show this picture, and there's another picture that I want to show our audiences, but I'm going to pull this picture up, and hopefully you all can see it here for all of my viewers tuning in. But you can see the exchange here where this man and woman are conversing, Shanta, and I'm just going to kind of somewhat read it word by word, okay? So we don't know the full conversation, okay? But we can only go by what we see in front of us. Mm-hmm. So this person starts off, or actually continues the conversation on by saying, LOL, okay, which one is you in the photo? You in the white or in the black? Both women are beautiful, both you all, I should say. This other person responds back by saying, I want you to go look at all the other photos and use your powers of deduction, I believe, and context clues, and you come back and tell me what you figured out. The other person responds back saying, you in the white, since I'm putting my detective hat on. The other person comes back and says, I have one more tiny request. I want you to go find the closest door, step outside, and find the closest tree, go hug it profusely, apologize to it. Also, please don't quit your current job to be a detective because you somehow managed to get that wrong. I saw you shaking your head a little bit there, Shanta. This is on a Hinge app, ladies and gentlemen. And let's go ahead and pull up another one here. All right. And this is a different exchange with a different person. The person says, it started off innocent. I am doing well. Nice to meet you. The other person says, nice to meet you on here too. Then the other person says, or asks the question, where are you originally from? The person responds back asking, what makes you ask that? I don't look like I was born and raised here in Florida. The other person responds, just a question, making conversation. The person comes back by saying, okay. And then the other person goes on by saying, are you originally from here? That's the first question I get on here. Where are you from? I've been asked that so many times that I just want to say straight, I believe, out my mother's house or out my mother's womb. Wow.
Okay. That's a lot right there.
Yeah. So that's what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, in the dating app universe. I'm going to ask you this question starting off, Shanta. Okay. What is unhealed dating? And we can go back to those pictures in just a few moments. But from your lens, from your perspective, what is unhealed dating?
So unhealed dating is basically when people enter into new relationships, still carrying that baggage from the previous relationships. It could be relationships. It could be unhealed childhood trauma. It could be just unresolved issues with even friends, like those close platonic relationships. Trauma from those relationships can play an impact into you dating unhealed, right? And it often looks like repetition, like you're falling into the same thing over and over again as you keep carrying those bags, those traumas, those hurts from previous relationships and experiences with you into new settings.
Yeah, so it's like a revolving door, if you will, you know. So
to that point,
yeah,
the person who responded that I get this question all the time, but okay, you get that question all the time, but you didn't get that question from this person. And this person's motives may be different than those other people's motives. And it was a very benign, innocent question, because frankly, I don't know what a person who was born in Florida looks like. I don't. I don't know. So it's an innocent question. Yeah, I'm from a lot of places. They were carrying some past hurts into this encounter with this new person.
Yeah. I've been very candid in my journey on dating apps. I've told this story many times, Shanta, that I've had my many episodes with people that I met on dating apps. I've been on almost every dating app that you could think of, right? And I'm starting to realize that after years of being an avid user on the dating app, I tend to come across so many, and I'm not generalizing or everybody, because I did not have the opportunity to meet everybody on a dating app. But a lot of people that I come in contact with off the dating apps are people that are still trying to get over their past relationship, that are still going through what is called, quote unquote, their healing journey, or they are still holding on to something that happened to them in the past. And when we look at dating apps nowadays, and we can go into statistics later on in the program, like, have dating apps, from your opinion, from your observation, have dating apps become a hub for unhealed people?
So I can't really speak to that because I stopped using dating apps many years ago. So that's not really my wheelhouse. I still try to stick with people in real life, in meeting, in social settings, or getting referrals, better yet. But even in those settings, like, we're very much an unhealed generation. I'll say that. Let me say it. It's kind of an unhealed generation. It's not just people using dating apps, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of people who haven't really developed those key social skills, right? How to have conversation, how to use their words. That's why we're doing so much talk on emotional intelligence these days. We're coming from generations where, it's cheaper to keep her. We still have some places where if a boy hits you, they like you, lies, right? We're still coming from places where, and some of this is systemic. This is very societal. It's not just cultural. It is safer for me to remain in a relationship because of the financial benefit that I can get from it, as opposed to being able to be independent, or I'd rather be bad by myself. All those things make for very unhealthy foundations in relationships.
Ooh, and something that you touched on just a few moments ago about the whole notion of when we were kids and a boy hitting a girl, and that it's okay to hit a girl. And that was one of the things that me and the Lyft driver earlier talked about in our conversation prior to this episode, because it just seemed like things have always been normalized from childhood development to adulthood. And what we've seen have been something where, oh, well, I've seen mommy do it, or I've seen daddy do it towards mother, so it must be okay. But in reality, it's not okay, because it could escalate to something even more fatal or even more than what it should be. And now in the dating app world, is like, it's something that is so unbelievable, Shanta, because it was meant to, from my understanding, as far as dating apps are concerned, right? It was meant to bring a connection, to bring a match between two people, whether they are in the same state locally, or if they are in another state where you can find love anywhere, everywhere, right? And see if it works, or even build up a friendship with that person if it doesn't escalate into anything romantically, and plus this is the new age of technology advances. I remember back in the day, Shanta, before dating apps, there were MySpace, America Online, AOL. I actually used AOL first before anything else to meet people, not only in the local area, but also outside of the local area. And I just never really got that kind of energy as opposed to online dating and dating apps. And what I mean by energy is like, I never heard things like, I'm still trying to get over my ex, or this and the other. You just meet people and it was fun. It was just fun. But nowadays, it's becoming very, I don't know, in my observation, in my rear view, dark. It's becoming dark now.
Well, look, think about it. Okay. So many things have changed in culture and society, in the world. Yes, we've broadened our reach with people, because now you can talk to someone that lives in another state, or I think even in another country, right? I think they opened it up worldwide during COVID. But like the things that people used to do are not, the rent is not the same. We're not engaging with people the same ways now as we did 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you might still meet up with somebody locally for a drink, or, a meal, a coffee, a walk in the park. Now we got people talking about, you can't take me to Cheesecake Factory on the first date.
Ooh.
You know what I'm talking about. That thing was, I was like, what? Because that used to be where people would go.
Yeah.
But that's, I won't even say that was unhealed. Her delivery was absolutely unhealed. But if that was her standard, then she shouldn't have swiped right on him or however they met. And then you think about it, like, how did these people meet? How did they come into one another's acquaintance? Like, would you set your friend up with somebody who said something like that, who had that thought process?
Yeah.
But when you're just swiping, you don't really get the full picture. It's like the Inspector Gadget up there. He obviously chose wrong. He was not really looking closely at the pictures. And I guess she was tired of that. But it's like, also, if you're on a dating app, why do you have pictures of other people with you on your profile? Why should somebody have to ask, which one is you?
Yeah. And I've gotten some pushback from what I posted on social media regarding the exchange between the two people on Hinge, and we're going to read that in just a few moments. I got a little bit of pushback there. But that's the world that we're in right now, Shanta. Everything is technology-based. Everything is app-based. And dating apps have become the new norm for how we meet people, how we socialize people, and things of that sort, you know, even dating and stuff like that. I've only heard one success story recently, Sean, about two people that have gotten married from a dating app. But do you know that's very rare? That is so rare.
I'm still a fan of the good old-fashioned way. Like I said, you know, going out, meeting people, or getting referrals. Like, you know, a friend of a friend, you know, maybe even of a friend. And they're saying, hey, I know this person, da-da-da-da-da. You guys have a lot of things in common, or, you know, you really like the same thing. So I think it's about mindset. It's about how you think about it, right? Are you going, what is the intention you're going into utilizing this dating app, right? Yeah. Are you looking for something long-term? Are you looking for something short-term? Because I think back in the day, it used to be like you could let people know if you just wanted to like hook up, or if you just, you know, looking for FWB or whatever. Mm-hmm. Those are also signs that people are probably unhealed, not able to exist in committed relationships, long-term relationships, things like that. But I digress somewhat. But it is the intention with which you go into using the app, and which is why I got out, because it was like somebody asked me if the pictures I posted were recent, like within the last 2 weeks or something, because they were concerned about people's weight and stuff. And I was like, okay, you don't get a call, because why would I, you know? But then people were getting catfished a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no reason to hide. I have no reason to lie.
Yeah.
You see my picture. What you see is what you get.
All right. That was a recent episode from not Soul Days Live. I'm on the wrong show. From Therapy Ain't No Joke. By a previous special guest of mine by the name of Shanta Hayes. All right, you can check out that full episode on demand, YouTube, either at BEATBREAKRADIO or the Mental Space Show, or even on Honey, my Roku channel, which you can watch. Download the app, by the way, if you haven't. If you do not have it on your device, check it out. We got some great programming, including Therapy Ain't No Joke by yours truly, Sean Garvey, the Mental Space Live on all social media. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have our special guest who will be joining with us very shortly. We're going to talk to author Eric Legette. He's going to be joining with us to talk about his latest book and all things teen depression. All right. So if you have a teenager
and you all just got through eating dinner, and he or she wants to go and watch whatever is on their iPad or their phone or whatever, tell them nope, not tonight. You're gonna sit down with me and you're gonna watch this important episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. And we're gonna talk about teen depression. You have a son, you have a daughter who is facing some form of depression. All right, so we got that coming up with our special guest, author Eric Legette. He's going to be joining with us in just a few moments right here on Therapy Ain't No Joke, right here on Honey, on the Flow, YouTube, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and wherever you get your streaming. And we will be right back after these messages.
I'm Ben Affleck, and I want to thank you for joining me and supporting Paralyzed Veterans of America.
I joined the Navy to serve my country as a Navy SEAL. While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open. And I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed. Paralyzed Veterans of America was by my side from that moment on.
Since 1946, Paralyzed Veterans of America has kept a promise to our wounded veterans. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
Thanks to PVA, paralyzed veterans are getting specialized medical care and treatments, the benefits they've earned, the jobs they want, and the accessible vehicles and homes they need.
I just don't think my family would be as happy as they are without the support that I received from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them.
To learn more, go to pva.org today.
Anticipate potential delays for the morning commute. In other news, a recent government report on prescription drug pricing points to corporate
Freedom of the press is about your right to know.
What are you talking about, man? Look at this stats.
It's about your right to be informed. Your right to access all types of information keeps us free as a nation.
No.
Today, there are real threats to press freedom.
Reaching residential areas by...
And your right to know about the world around us.
Look.
Some threats are obvious, some are easy to miss, but they all put our way of life at risk. We must defend against all of these threats, no matter what kind of news is important to you.
Justified putting American troops in harm's way?
That's a great question.
We must protect our right to know before it's too late. Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.
Welcome back to Therapy Ain't No Joke. Welcome to the second half of the program. What you just watched was a previous episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke. Big shout outs to Shanta Hayes for coming on Therapy Ain't No Joke recently. Like I mentioned earlier, you can check out that episode and many more on our on-demand section under BEATBREAKRADIO or on the Mental Space Show YouTube channel. But don't forget, while you're there, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Beat Break Radio, or you can subscribe to our other YouTube channel. We got so many platforms, ladies and gentlemen. There's no excuse to why you cannot access to shows like Therapy Ain't No Joke. But while you're there, make sure you become a subscriber to our YouTube channel. All right. Once again, for those who are just tuning in, this is Therapy Ain't No Joke. This is the show in which we talk about all things considered mental health in our community. And we also bring in some of our amazing guests to talk about their mental health journey. And before we go to our guest for the evening, I would definitely would love for you to send us a love donation to our Cash App, $Reach One Communications to support the content, or go to reachoncommunications.com and click on Donate Now. Your support will help us continue to air quality programming like Therapy Ain't No Joke and so much more. Joining with us right here on Therapy Ain't No Joke is a author of the latest book entitled Does Anyone See My Pain? For teenagers dealing with anxiety and depression. And this is a very big month for all things considered mental health and mental health awareness. I believe this is October. Of course, this month is October, Suicide Awareness Month. Such a very, very big deal, not just only in our community, but in all communities everywhere across the country. Did you know that depression is one of the most common mental disorders worldwide, and people aged 12 to 25 have the highest rate of depression? Did you know that? Depression and anxiety share some symptoms, including rapid and unexpected changes in mood. And once again, joining with us to talk about teen depression and more is author Eric Legette, joining with us. Good evening, sir. How are you doing? Welcome to Therapy Ain't No Joke.
Hey, good brother. How are you? Thank you for inviting me on the show.
Thank you for coming on, sir. I would ask you, just like I asked all of my guests, how is your mental health? But we've been having a bit of a struggle having you come on the show this evening. I don't know if it's fair to ask you that or not.
It's all good. It's all good. Right.
Yeah. But let me go ahead and ask you anyway, or let me just ask you again, how is your mental health?
It's fine. It's in a good space. I've dealt with depression and anxiety for over 2.5 decades, but it seemed like the older I'm becoming, the more I'm able to manage it a lot better than I did maybe 10 years ago. So I'm in a good space.
Good. So let's talk about that 10 years ago. Where were you 10 years ago? In that space.
I can give you a perfect example. I've been dealing with a heart ailment since 2011. That's when I was 2013 when I was diagnosed with congenital heart failure. So I've actually had 9 procedures / surgeries in the last 11 years. Most recently, August the 12th. So August the 12th, I had another procedure. By that Thursday, I was experiencing complications. By the next week, I had to go to the emergency room because of the complications. So I was in the emergency room for 5 hours. I had to go through 2 rounds of EKG examinations. And it was a frustrating day, of course. You know, you're in the emergency room. But after the second round of the EKG, I walked out of there. Now, 10 years ago, Eric would have been depressed. Eric would have been, why is this happening to me? So on and so forth. But now it's like my mindset was I walked out of here when there are other patients that was not, did not get the opportunity to just get up and walk out of their hospital bed. So it's been a gradual process over the past 10 years.
It's been a process. Yeah.
It's been a process.
Frederick Douglass once quoted, without struggle, there is no progress.
There's no progress.
Or no progress, I mean. Yeah, there is no progress. And you feel that way, like you had to mentally be prepared to go through the struggle in order to see some type of progress?
I had to. In order for me to be at this place, I had to go through a level of suffering to get to a place of gratitude. I still don't have everything that I want, but I'm grateful for whatever I already have. I had a massive heart attack 2 years ago while I was writing this book. and it almost cost me my life. But I still continue to push forward to complete this book. And this is some of the stuff that I talk about in the book about using your coping skills to still propel you towards your goals and your dreams.
Let's pull up that book for one moment. I have it up on the screen here. Does anyone see my pain for teenagers dealing with anxiety and depression? We're going to take a deep dive into the book in just a few moments, but I would be remiss if I don't mention your accolades, of course, being the influencer, the statue that you are. Masters in education with a focus on teaching, learning, leadership. And in 2022, which wasn't that long ago, Eric, a resident associate at the National Humanities Center researching the nurturing leadership approach in LA based on the leadership that you have provided throughout your professional career. You are one, not only as the founder of Fathers with Voices, which is a nonprofit that assisted non-custodial and divorced fathers obtain visitational rights and custody of their children between 1996 to 2016, but also as an elementary, middle school instructor and teacher assistant. We can go on and on and on with so many accolades. Where did that passion or that desire came from to be in the space to talk to people, especially to young adults? Where did that come from?
Well, that's very easy. It came from Mr. and Mrs. Legette. I watched my parents, when I grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. My parents invested in a lot of people, especially young people. And it's very interesting that, when Facebook became very popular, many of those same young people found my parents on Facebook. So they were contacting them literally from all over the country and saying, thank you for this or thank you for that. So I think that just became ingrained in me. And I just, helping people, it just makes my spirit feel good when I know that I'm sharing something that can either help people overcome obstacles and hurdles or accomplish a particular goal. So I have to say, I have to thank my parents for that.
Very instrumental. I've heard so many times from young adults and from the youth that say that coming from a household where it's just a single parent there, whether it's just the father or the mother, and coming from whatever living conditions that they came from at that time, it made them into the person that they are to this very day because they didn't have the balance. They didn't have the nurturing and the mother and the father present to really shape them to being more productive in society and to go a different route or provide the guidance that they need in order to survive in the real world. But to you, it's different. It's different for you. So like going in. So I wonder, going in and talking to young people, teens and young adults, because young people, they want to hear another person that can relate to them, right? So when you go to that space and you talk to young people, like what goes through your mind knowing that I'm going into a space talking to young adults, young people, and they may not have the same background as me? Like how do you prepare for that mentally?
Well, I take what was taught, what I was able to observe with my parents. The way that I have been successful at reaching young people is I make it about them. I'm not into, I'm not just into lecturing. It's like I have an initiative right now that I hope to be able to take to college and high schools across the country called More Powerful Than Depression. And that is going to be set up in a way where I'm not lecturing. It's going to be an interactive experience where I want to know from them what are the challenges and concerns of being a teenager or a college student today. And that helps young people open up more, because it's like, you know, they don't want someone lecturing them and telling them what to do all the time. I want to hear from them. You know, that has been my MO, and it's been successful for me the past 25 years. So I'm not going to change. So the answer to your question is, I make it about them. I want to know about them. And that has worked for me for the past, 2 decades working with young people.
Right. And that I can relate to. Keyword relate to is even I'm even put into spaces where I have to talk to young people that come from either similar backgrounds or different backgrounds. And I don't want to come off as a person preaching or telling them something that they already heard 1,000 times. Like, people that come from my world, we're told to stay in school, get your education, get your degree, get your college degree, stay out of trouble, and keep God first, and go on and on and on, right? But in these times, that's not enough, because what happens when you do everything that you have done and that what you've been told to do, and you still find yourself in a state of depression?
Right.
It's
well, what I would say to that is, I've learned through this journey this word called perspective. An example to give a young person is, say, for example, they're crushed because they don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend, or their boyfriend or girlfriend broke up with them. Perspective says, I still have my friends that care about me. I still have my parents that care about me. I still have families that care about me. Or the college student that gets a D in chemistry, but they have a grade of 3 A's and a B in 4 other classes. Perspective says, I'm doing pretty good. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So these are some of the things that I think young people can grasp onto, on top of realities of life. Realities of life says life is tough. Life is unfair. Life is not promised to the young, just because you're young. These are some of the principles that young people should be introduced to, and that will help, take some of the blows that life would deal us when we feel like, we're doing everything we can, but. So, and it's like with depression, you have to have an action plan to follow to ward off those negative thoughts.
Gotta have a plan in place. Absolutely.
You have to have a plan in place.
For those who are just joining with us, we have author Eric Legette, MED, of the book Does Anyone See My Pain? For teenagers dealing with anxiety and depression. I gotta make a correction real quick. So September is actually Suicide Prevention Month. October is, if I'm not mistaken, there we go, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. October is. And that ties in, Eric, with depression and anxiety, right?
Right.
What does that look like from whether it's from your experience, listening to other people's stories, or just from your observation? What does domestic violence look like for younger teens, for younger adults? Because we always think, when we think about domestic violence, we think about more on the adult level, right? But we don't really talk much or think about it from a younger level, especially when it comes to teen dating and that sort of thing. So from your experience, if you saw it, like, what does that look like for you?
It's interesting that you bring that up. I actually was in a situation where This when I was working in education. I'm a former educator, and I was working in education, and it was in middle school, where it was a young man and young lady dating, and he was beating her up. I mean, and me and the school resource officer, we had to sit him down to explain to him certain things about what it means to be a man. And, you know, he didn't have a father in his life. And so with young people, especially young men, they have to be taught on how to treat a young lady, how to treat a woman. It's like I have 3 daughters. And if I could share this story real quickly, it falls in line. This young man called my daughter when she was in high school, and she wanted me to speak with him. And I got on the phone, and, you know, I said hello, and he said, well, I'm calling to just let you know I'm going to take your daughter. I'm going to pick her up for lunch from school. So I asked him, I said, are you asking me or are you telling me? He said, I'm just letting you know. I said, wow, okay. So I said, it's like that. I said, all right. So I drove my daughter to take her to some type of dance, and he happened to be there. And I asked to speak with him, and I said, you never tell a girl's father what you're going to do with her. I said, you can't do that. And he said, I never heard that before. And he apologized. So it has to go on both ends. You know, the young man has to be taught, and young ladies have to be taught that the first time is the last time, you know? So both of them have to be educated at the same time.
But as a father, though, let me just, I guess, give a little bit of pushback, because we do have some fathers that are watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially our protective fathers and our overprotective fathers, right? Because it could have went a different route. The father who could have been in your shoes when that young man said to you, well, I'm just letting you know, that father would have said, no, absolutely not. My daughter is not going to the dance with you. No. And if you call back again, there will be some consequences. Like what, you know, I'm just thinking from what the other father's mindset would have been. So what made you want to go into that different route, though?
Well, here's the thing. Well, he didn't, let me just clear it up. He didn't take my daughter to the dance. Okay. He just happened to be there. They were not going, because I made sure of that. Mm-hmm. But the other side of that is I wanted to make sure that he understood what he did was wrong. And so, no, they did not go to the dance together. I let him know if he wanted to take my daughter out, he had to come and meet me and the mother and ask the proper way. You know, my daughter is not a drive-by. We weren't going for that. You had to come to me man to man and say, you know, I would like to take your daughter out, sir, whatever have you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I just wanted to clear that up. He happened to be there. She was not going with him. She did not go with him.
Because I'm thinking it would have been that scene from Bad Boys 2. You remember that scene when Martin Lawrence's character, Will Smith, and that young boy, he was at the doorstep? I probably would have been that father. Like,
yeah. But, you know, I had to be calm because my baby was watching me. So, you know, I had to be calm.
Right.
But I got my message across. He apologized. And I said, you know, it's fine. He admitted that. He says, no, nobody's ever taught me that. No one's ever told me that. So when somebody humbles themselves and say something like that, you can't jump on them, because what you don't know, you don't know. Okay. So I had a lot of respect for him for saying that. I just said, but in the future, you can't do that. So,
Right. Wow. Now let's stay on topic with anxiety and depression among teenagers. And what I find so fascinating is that we continue to have conversations surrounding mental health, especially on the show Therapy Ain't No Joke. And according to the CDC, mental health is an important part of children's overall health and well-being. And we all know that mental health includes children's mental, emotional, and behavioral well-being. It also affects how children think mentally, right? Feel and act. It also plays a role in how children handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. And so with young kids today dealing with all different forms of mental health, including what we're talking about on tonight's show, anxiety and depression, like how do you look at young people and mental health today than maybe 20 or 30 years ago? Because, you know, we're in a different era right now, Eric. We have social media, which we talk about all the time. We have so many things that are giving young folks and youth more access to a lot of stuff than ever before. How do you look at that now compared to 20 or 30 years ago?
It's very simple. I mean, it was a motivation for me to write this book. When I started the process to write this book, and I came across all these articles in 2021 post-pandemic about this increase in teen depression, anxiety. First, I saw the signs and the symptoms, and then I saw this long list of challenges and concerns that this generation has to deal with. So my first question was, what coping skills do they have in place? And that's the problem. I think this generation is not taught about coping skills. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we didn't have to deal with the things that they have to deal with. Okay. So it's not to say that we didn't need coping skills. We weren't dealing with as much as what they're dealing with. They have cyberbullying. They have the traditional bullying. They have body shaming. They have the fact that education is 3 times more difficult than it was 20 years ago. So they're concerned about their academic performance. They're concerned about their safety in school. I mean, we didn't have to worry about going to school and worry that someone was going to come and shoot up our school and harm my friends and I. So I would just say that we have to do a better job at teaching them how to integrate coping skills into their daily lives. And that's what my book is all about. It's all about this journey of sharing with them how I have used coping skills to not only keep me from that dark space, but I've used it. You know, that book is a prime example because writing is my coping skill. So we see right there the visual example of how powerful a coping skill can be if you use it in a proper manner.
Well, do you think, because it's very hard at times to have these type of conversations, right? About we need to know, or we need to know how to instill coping skills in our youth today, right? Do you think though it's a matter of people just don't want to versus the how? Like, we know how to do certain things, right? We know how to turn on a car. We know how to make food in a microwave. We know how to do certain things, right? But when it comes to kids, because let's remember now, they were not asked to be born here. They were not asked to be brought here into the world. But do you think it's more so of just people, especially nowadays, that's not wanting to sit down and have a uncomfortable conversation with the youth today on how to navigate this new way of life that we're living in right now?
Well, I'll say this. It's forcing us that we have to. because in the schools across this country, that's what's happening. The counselors are overwhelmed, so they have had to implement ways on how to counsel these kids. They have implemented what they call mindfulness, which is the meditation, the different meditation sites. It has forced us to address the fact that these kids is not handling stress properly. So it's up to the adults to inform these kids about coping skills, about ways on how to deal with stress. That's on us. Of course, they don't know. That's on us as adults. We have to take them to the side. That's why this book is so important to me, because the coping skills remains very valuable in my life. It's something that I use every day, because when you deal with depression, it's this daily mental battle that you're going through, where you're not allowing yourself to go to a dark place. So that's on us. That's on us, brother. We have to take these kids to the side and teach them how to, choose a coping skill that's going to help them deal with stress.
Yeah. So let's just break some of the statistics down. Let's just break some of the facts down. By the way, we're at the bottom of the hour. If you're just tuning in to the Mental Space with Sean Garvey, we're talking to the man himself, the author of his latest book, and it's talking about teen depression. That's what we're here to talk about on tonight's show. Author Eric Legette, M.D. of the book, Does Anyone See My Pain? For teenagers dealing with anxiety and depression. Now, I want you all to stick around for more information on how you can get your copy of the book. But let's just break down some statistics and some facts here. So in 2024, major depressive episodes, 20.17% of youth ages 12 to 17 experienced at least one major depressive episode in the past year. Also, severe impairment, 15% of youth in the U.S. experienced an MDE that severely impacted their functioning at work, school, or even at home. And it goes on and on. Even gender. When it comes to gender, girls are twice as likely as boys to have clinical depression. That is alarming, especially if you have a daughter. Other mental disorders in 3 in 4 young people with depression also have another mental disorder. And let's not even talk about race. Children identified as more than one race have a higher rate of depression as well. So it's a lot of nuances in that, in those statistics and facts right there. What goes through your mind, especially as a person who experienced it, talk to the youth? What goes through your mind when you hear those facts and statistics?
Well, what goes through my mind is, as I said before, they are dealing with so much more than what I had to deal with 30 and 40 years ago. And so when you're taking on all of that pressure, I'll just say, as an educator alone, they have made education 3 times more difficult on these kids than it should be. That's just my opinion. So the stress alone, like I've worked for after school programs, some of these kids' days begin at 6 in the morning. Then they don't get home until 7 o'clock at night. That's a 12 or 13 hour day. I can't imagine having that type of day in elementary school. I was blessed and fortunate that my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I got in high school. So it's like our school day 30 years ago was 8 to 3. So if you don't think that plays a role into mental health, then you're wrong. And then when I look at I think you said mixed race.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're giving me a PTSD moment. I'm out here in the South, and colorism in the black community is horrible. So that is stressful, and it's been stressful for me coming from New York City, being born and raised where you are, it's a melting pot, okay, of different cultures, and then for me to come to the South and be identified everywhere I went, every job I've had, as light skinned. I mean, come on, man. I'm a grown man. I mean, this is not something that I should be hearing at my age. So yes, that does put a certain type of stress on you, because did you hear the comments? Life is better. It's going to be better for you because you're light skinned. It's been a real dumb experience over the past 20 years. And we're going to have to really address that. I know that's off topic.
Yeah.
But it does add to your level of stress. So I understand about the mixed race, because I'm not even mixed race, and I've dealt with it.
Right.
I'm African American,
Yeah. Yeah, but we live in a society, in a world where people assume a lot. And it's not just, what is so mind-boggling, Eric, is that it's not just only teenagers, but adults as well, grown people that just automatically assume that you are this ethnicity or you come from this background. It could be just the way that you walk or your presentation or how you carry yourself, and people just automatically assume, not knowing that can play a major role in your mental health.
Yeah, it's like I just said, I've been dealing with it for 20 years. Literally, I have been dealing with it. I left New York in 2005. And now I lived in New York, North Carolina from 2005 to 2020. And now I'm in Virginia. And I still deal with it. And it's just dumb. I mean, it makes you angry. That's what it does. I mean, because it's like people make a judgment about you before they even have a conversation with you. And this is coming from your own people. That's the thing that's more hurtful, is that it's coming from your own people. So I understand about the mixed race statistic. It is what it is, bro.
Yeah. Speaking of comment section, let's go over to the comment section and see what they are saying. Shout out to Cynthia. She says perspective. You mentioned perspective a few moments ago. That's a great suggestion in that moment. Appreciate it, Cynthia. It's all about perspective, especially as you get older. You start to realize it's more and more about perspective.
Right. And it's important for young people, like, hopefully when I'm able to take this more powerful than depression in these circles with college students and high school students, that's one of the things I want to share with them, because it's very important that they learn the meaning of that word very early. So this way they can train their mind that in every bad situation, you can find some form of perspective in it. And this is part of the process of retraining your mind when you're dealing with depression.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for that comment there. It's all about perspective. I was about to say the mental space, but there being no joke, Sean Garvey with my special guest, Eric Legette, talking about teen depression, anxiety, and depression, all in the same class together, same boat. So let's talk about the book. Let's dive right into the book you have available right now. And it's a very telling book. Does anyone see my pain? What do you mean by that? What's the meaning behind the title alone? Does anyone see my pain?
Because I just think that a lot of teens are suffering in silence. And I think about my time as a teen. I spent a lot of time being sad when I think about it. But I had the best childhood that anybody could have. but I still spent a lot of time being sad. So, you know, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking of looking at the statistical data related to teen depression, and that's the title that came to mind. It's like, you know, they're literally walking around in pain. So it's like, is anybody seeing this? So that's where the title came from.
Does anyone see my pain? Suffer in silence. I hear that a lot. I've heard that a lot. Suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm.
It could come in so many forms when a young person is suffering in silence and, you know, not being in a safe space, or not feeling that comfort of going to their family or to their parents and telling them what's going on. And in some instances, they can take it out on the wrong people.
Exactly.
You can take it out on the wrong people or people that don't deserve it. And we've seen what happened a couple of weeks ago, Eric, especially here in Georgia. We talked about it plenty of times with school shootings, and not just to single out all the other school shootings that have happened over the years. Of course, this one is just as horrific as the ones that we have witnessed over the past years, you know. And so when people suffer in silence, especially young people, Eric, like where does that, in most cases, where does that lead to in that person's space? Does it lead to like the depression in young people, the depression in teens? Does that need or lead to them to go into a path of wanting to gain access, if you will, to some form of gang affiliation, or wanting them to, you know, go out and purchase a gun, or, you know, do something that they're not supposed to, or even more horrific thoughts about suicide? Like, and, you know, what do you think in most cases, what do you think a young person's depression leads to?
It leads to many things. Abusing drugs, abusing alcohol. They're connected to social media. How many times have we seen them getting involved with these kind of death-defying challenges on TikTok? The young man from Georgia that just did unfortunately the school shooting. I read a report where he said he had given up hope. And when you give up hope, you don't have anything left. So that's why it was not difficult for him to go and take someone's life, because he had lost hope. So that's why it's so important for this particular age group to become familiar with, okay, if you're stressed out, what are you going to do to relieve this stress? And that's why in my book, I put this long list of different forms of coping skills. There's, you know, you have your short-term coping skills, you have your long-term coping skills, which means that, say, for example, a coping skill for me is picking up my bass guitar and playing it. I'll just sit there and play it while I'm watching TV. That's a coping skill. But if I'm in my car and I'm in a traffic jam, I can't play my bass guitar. But what I can do is I can go to my playlist, and I could put on something positive to listen to. So it's like you have to teach them that there are different forms and different spaces of coping skills that you can use. That's why it's such a point of emphasis throughout my book.
What you said was something interesting. I remember taking music courses in school, whether it was in elementary, middle school, and especially in high school. I took all courses. I took orchestra, I took band, I took piano classes. And they not only kept me out of trouble, Eric, but those courses challenged my brain. They challenged my mind to think critically, right? And so over the years, especially when the system, just using air quotes here, the system started taking musical courses out of the schools, that's when I saw a dramatic change in young folks, in young people. And in adults, and people don't know how music courses and musical classes, they don't know how much of an impact those courses have made to young people.
They
now,
don't.
Yeah. Either you want to
don't. Well, I would say this, that's why they have something called music therapy. Music is therapeutic. And I was fortunate enough to be introduced to my first coping skill when I was 9 years old. And it was my bass guitar. And I wanted to, if I could give you the short version, I had my favorite aunt was married to my uncle, who was a military man. And in the late 60s, they were stationed in Germany. And it was around that time where this very popular gospel song named Oh Happy Day came out. So when she came back over to the States, she continued to follow him. The artist's name is the great Edwin Hawkins, who's no longer here with us. And she found out that it wasn't just him. He had a whole family called the Hawkins family. And so she brought their records home, and I'm 9 years old. I just fell in love with the sound.
Right.
And my ears found the musicianship of this teen master drummer / bass guitar player by the name of Joel Smith. He was the nephew of Edwin and Walter Hawkins. So he played on all their records. I wanted to be him. So after another day of being teased, I was teased a lot growing up in Brooklyn, New York, because I was very fair-skinned and I had blondish red hair. So no one in my neighborhood looked like me, and every day somebody reminded me of that. So to deal with the pain, I come home, I cried out with my mom. She give me this speech about until you accept yourself, no one else will. I do my homework, and then I would get on this stool that I'm looking at right now. I still kept that same stool, and I would go on the concert with the Hawkins family for 3 hours. That was my very first coping skill. And lo and behold, I taught myself how to play by ear. Nice. So now I could do something that no one in the neighborhood could do. So now my self-esteem has been raised, and I continue to just hone my skills in music. And that led to when I was in my 20s, still dealing with the pain, still dealing with the scars. That led to me being offered a record contract to do house music. So these are some of the stories that I share in the book about how instrumental coping skills can be. And you're right with the music. Music is therapeutic, man. It's therapeutic, you know? And so when they took that out, it wasn't a good decision. It wasn't a good decision at all.
Yeah. I saw the positive and the negative impact, the positive impact that it has made on younger folks in the school system to learn how to play instruments and what it can do to your mental health and to your longevity. And the negative impact is taking something so special away from young, gifted people and only young people to just sports or to athletics or to other things that they may not have an interest in. So we definitely need to have more conversations on that. Let's do this. I want to take a quick break for a moment because we're getting ready to wrap up, and I want you to let people know how they can get your book in just a few moments. But I want to do this. We're going to go into a break real quick because for all of my people who are just tuning in and you're thinking that we're just only on Roku, we're not just only on Roku, ladies and gentlemen. We are now on Amazon Fire TV. So I'm going to switch over to our marketing strategist, Queen K, and she's going to break down on how you can watch Honey or shows like Therapy Ain't No Joke on Amazon Fire TV. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to have more with author Eric Legette in just a few moments, but let's swing things over to Queen K, and she's going to break everything down how you can watch Therapy Ain't No Joke and Honey on your Amazon Fire TV.
Hi everyone, my name is Queen K, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Honey, and I just wanted to take the time today to show you all how you're able to access the Reach One Network application on your Amazon Fire TV. So without further ado, let's get things started. All right, so we're here on the landing page for the Fire TV. We're gonna go ahead and use the voice command by searching by saying, Alexa, open Reach One Network.
Here's Reach One Network.
And we're here. So we have the live section, radio section, and video section. So immediately you see Honey. You can definitely tap in over to see what's the buzz there. Consistent 24/7 good stuff, content over there, as well as, like I said, the radio section. Here we have some great things for your listening pleasure. Just in case you want to listen into some things you may not want to, you might want to see anything. You want to listen. And last but not least, we have the video section, which is a repository of all the wonderful content that has come up and things that will be airing very soon. So I'm very excited to see what you guys think. So take some time, go through each tab and really just dig into the content here. And make sure you guys are rating us, and we're just happy to see you guys do this content. My name is Queen K, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, that was Queen K. Just wanted to take a moment to have Queen K come on and show you how to get Reach One Network on your Amazon Fire TV so you can watch us live on Amazon Fire TV. Therapy Ain't No Joke, and all of the other great programming that we have under Honey and our other cluster, Podcast FM 87, Reach One Network, and BEATBREAKRADIO. It is 9 minutes before the top of the hour. We are still hanging out with author Eric Legette. Eric Legette, he is the author of the latest book as we continue to talk about teen depression and anxiety, all right? And the name of his book is right here. It's entitled, Does Anyone See My Pain? For teenagers dealing with anxiety and depression. All right, so any parent that is out there watching us right now, if you see these different things out of your teenager or out of your young adult, I would advise you and encourage you to please go seek a therapist or talk to your local school counselor if you see the following things or the following signs, if you will: depressed, irritable, sad, or empty mood for at least 2 weeks, decreased interest or enjoyment in one's favorite activities and people, changes in appetite, eating too much or too little, significant weight gain or loss, sleeping too much or too little, physical agitation, fatigue or loss of energy, feelings of guilt or not being quote unquote good enough, decreased ability to concentrate, indecisive, unexplained aches and pains, and even recurrent suicidal thoughts or behavior. Seek immediate medical help if your teen express this. Anything that I left off, Mr. Eric?
No, that covers it. Yep, that covers it.
All right. That covers it. So please, parents, please take heed of those signs, those warning signs from your young adult, from your young child, from your young teenager, and go seek a therapist or a local counselor. We're going to have that information at the bottom of the screen there for anybody that need access to some assistance regarding mental health crisis. Let's go over to the comment section. Marion says, good topic. You definitely hit it right on the nail. Definitely. Thank you so much, Marion, for that comment there. Very great topic. So once again, Eric, book entitled, Does Anyone See My Pain? What else can readers get from the book?
They can actually get the book on Amazon.com and also on my website. I have an ebook version on my website named Talk talkteendepression.com. And it's a little bit less expensive as an ebook than it is as a paperback. So, it's available on talkteendepression.com. I'm on most of the social media. I'm on TikTok. You Are Enough, Come Out the Dark. That's the name of the TikTok. I have so many names, so I had to write it down. Instagram is saynotodepression.com. So I'm on Instagram. Facebook, my Facebook page is Teen Depression and Anxiety. And finally, again, the ebook version of the book is available on talkteendepression.com.
All right. Okay. And maybe on the next episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, we will give our viewers and our listeners that information once again, just in case they didn't catch it the first time.
Okay.
Around. So we'll make sure to get all that information from you and put it in our next episode of Therapy Ain't No Joke, because this is good information. We want people to connect with you online via social media, and get as much great information as possible. But most importantly, we want people to go out and support the book, and to just kind of quarterback regarding the book. What do you want people to take away from the book when they read it? Whether it's adults, young people, what do you want people to take away from it?
Well, from adults, they're gonna take away from it. I just want them to become better educated and aware of the signs and symptoms, so that they can physically be able to observe their teens and say, well, something's not right, and then they can act accordingly. For teens, it is a book that, in 3 words, demonstrates young men that display focus, resiliency, and also perseverance. And all of that has come through God's presence, and also utilizing those coping skills to help me deal with and manage the depression and anxiety, so I can focus on being productive and utilizing the gifts and talents that God has given me to not only help myself, but to help others. And that's what teens are going to get out of the book.
All right. Awesome. All right. Well, once again, go ahead and give the people one more time information on how they can get the book one more time.
Amazon.com, and also talkteendepression.com, which has the ebook version, and they could download it right off the website.
Awesome information from the one and only Eric Legette right here on Therapy Ain't No Joke. Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show this evening. Your presence was definitely needed. And as we continue to have this discussion and conversation on teen depression, we got to do more. We have to do more.
So we have to do more
in the community to save as many young people as possible, and to really sit down and talk to our young people, and not just let the internet talk to them, but actually real people that are coming from a form of moral compass to sit down with them and talk to them as well. So we really appreciate it, and keep up the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Blessings, brother. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I got to give you this information as you are watching Therapy Ain't No Joke. 988, that is the crisis and suicide lifeline. If you or someone you know is facing a mental health crisis, even your young adult or your young teen may be facing some form of crisis or suicide or mental illness, please dial the number 988, not 911. This is the number that is opposite from 911. It's 988 if you or someone you know is facing a mental health crisis. You can also contact NAMI at 1-800-950-NAMI. That's 1-800-950-NAMI 6264. They are available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can send them an email to info@nami.org. That's at nami.org for more information. And let's go over really quick because we do have one more comment. Shout out to the one and only, the Jeff is Moody Show. What's going on, Mr. Moody? Big shout out to him. I was in and out because of multitasking, but great show as usual from Mr. Garvey and one of the best guests ever with Eric. Two cats that actually care from the heart and not for the fame. That's what we all about, Mr. Moody. That's what we do right here on Therapy and No Joke. So we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And speaking of Mr. Moody, you can check out his show from, I believe, from 9 to 11 p.m. On Podcast FM 87, which is airing right now on our sister station, Podcast FM 87, on Amazon Fire TV and on Roku. I told you all, we're doing big things. So thank you so much once again, Eric. We really appreciate it. We gotta have you back on the show very soon.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Blessings.
That is the contact information one more time to contact the National Alliance for Mental Illness helpline. Please call 1-800-950-NAMI-6264, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll send them an email to info@nami.org, or you can just simply call this number or dial the 3-digit number 988 if you or someone you know is facing a mental health crisis. Tune in next week. I have another brand new episode, ladies and gentlemen. And I just got to get something off my chest real quick, all right? And it ties into next week's show. We do a show about mental health and all things considered mental health. But we're going to tackle on next week's show. And I the thing I love about topics is that I'm the one that creates topics. So I'm not just only the host, but I'm also the executive producer. And I come up with all these interesting topics and stuff as it ties in with mental health. But there are people that just don't like you. There are people that will find something on you or about you that they don't like you, okay? And we're going to talk about that with another special guest that we have queued up and is willing to talk about it. You know, everybody just don't like you for whatever reason. I know that makes an impact in your mental health, but we're going to talk about that on next week's show. Plus, I do want to let you all know that I am going to be premiering another podcast. It's called Unemployment Check. Now, really quick before we end the show, Unemployment Check was supposed to be a scripted series, and we premiered the pilot 2 years ago. But I said to myself, you know what? This is so good. This is too good. This is too good to be more than just a scripted podcast series, but it needs to be a talk-based show. And when we do Unemployment Check, it's actually going to be premiering the day before November 5th. You know what November 5th is, right? It's going to air the day before Election Day. And it's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to get off my chest, all right? Because I know a lot of people are going to be tuning in and watching and listening to what I have to say, not just only from a mental health side but from an economic side as well too. And it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. I will, because I know you all want to know. I will talk about my split from Odyssey. Okay, I know I've been getting text messages and emails from people. They want to know my split from Odyssey. Okay. We're going to talk about that in the next couple of episodes. I'm not going to reveal too much, but we're going to talk about it, okay? All right, shout out to my special guest, Eric Legette, for coming on Mentals. Speaking of which, therapy ain't no joke. And for you, the listener, the viewer, for tuning in to Therapy Ain't No Joke each and every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. If you missed any of tonight's show, you can go to our YouTube channel, BEATBREAKRADIO, or the Mental Space Show on our YouTube channel, or just simply go to Honey, and watch our archive shows there, okay? And once again, big shout outs to the one and only Jeff Moody, Mr. Moody himself. Big facts, that's facts, yes indeed. Go get you some therapy, all right? We out of here. Talk to you all next week. And we do have another episode of Soul Dates Live, by the way, too. I want to make sure I mention that as well before I get off. Okay. Soul Dates Live next week, as well as Therapy Ain't No Joke. And we do have a brand new Deep Break Morning Show coming in the next couple of days or so. Big shout out to J-Bo. All right, we out of here. Finally, take care, everybody, and make sure before we really close out, make sure that you and others stay in a great mental space. I'm out of here. See you all next week. Take care.
Understand the threats. ProtectPressFreedom.org.